Okay, so Dr. Sugunan is the former Assistant Director General at the Indian Council for Agricultural Research, okay, and an organisation that's been a strong supporter of NACA for many years. And he's here to tell us about development of culture-based fisheries in India, opportunities and challenges. Please go ahead.
Good morning and good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Simon and NACA, for giving me this opportunity. I will be sharing with you Indian experience of culture-based fisheries. I will talk about the resources available for practicing this culture-based fisheries, which are the advantages, challenges we face, and how we are going to align these with the national plans. Now, in India, the inland fisheries production comprises two major components: capture fisheries and aquaculture. The difference is that we source the seed from the wild, whereas normal aquaculture, you raise your own seed. Here we raise, though the practice, the final product is produced from the capture. Here the final product is from aquaculture. That is, we say enhanced aquaculture, and this is culture-based fisheries, enhanced capture fisheries. Okay, coming to the resources, in India we have got two main types of water bodies suitable for culture-based fisheries. One is small reservoirs and this other one is floodplain wetlands. Now, as you know, India is a large country and we have got about 10 million hectares of lentic water bodies, of which these two resources can add to about 2 million hectares. That is quite a big resource. Now, coming to the reservoirs, India is a ubiquitous water body seen in almost all states of the country, and here these 7 states have got maximum number where more than 100,000 hectares are available for culture-based fisheries. Now, there is another type of water body, we call it floodplain wetlands. They're actually the wetland formations on the floodplains of the Potomac stretches of the rivers, where the rivers often change course and they make it oxbow lakes and other formations. Locally, we call beels, geels, pads, etc. Collectively, these are called floodplain wetlands. They are small water bodies suitable for culture-based fisheries. If you look at the distribution of resources, you can see all of them are either in the Ganga basin or in the Brahmaputra basin. You can see the Ganga coming through Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and similarly Brahmaputra, after entering India through Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, receives both tributaries from both sides, and the Brahmaputra receives tributaries from the entire northeastern states, 8 of them, and also these 5 states are the Ganga is passing through 5 states. On either side, we have got plenty of tributaries. So these water bodies are unique, and they have plenty of small water bodies on either side of the main course. And you can see that other parts of the country, it is not available because the rivers are not perennial here. So these are the unique resources that you get. We have got 369,000 of them. Now, how much we are utilizing? This is the important question. 161,654,000 small reservoirs, at least 1.3 million hectares are useful for culture-based fisheries. We are getting hardly 50 kilogram per hectare against a potential of 500. Similarly, floodplain wetlands, 369,000, of which at least 150,000 are suitable for culture-based fisheries. So we are getting hardly 136 kilogram per hectare against an estimated potential of 841. Thus, we can produce about 165,000 extra tons of fish from these culture-based fisheries, provided we can. There is a lot of problems there. I will explain to you later. So we compare to other countries. You can see India is one of the poorest. We get only 50 kilogram per hectare, about the better rates achieved by other countries. Now, what are the advantages? Of course, it is a stock and recapture system explained by Lawrenson in this very good picture. Which again, it is a non-consumptive water use, simple technology, attractive to governments because generally it contributes to poverty alleviation and the rural communities. But I want to flag three main advantages. These are environmental, economic, and social. So, coming to the environmental, this is one of the favorite figures I often quote from Wellcome and Bartley. You can see that when we move from the open system to closed system, that is from capture fisheries to high intensive aquaculture, the production increases but sustainability decreases. So we are placed in a better place with a low level of this scale where it can be enhancement and culture-based practices not very high intensive. So a country like India, where we have got 2 million hectares of this water body suitable, we should exhaust all these possibilities before resorting to high intensive aquaculture. It will be needed because we need plenty of fish. But then we should exhaust all these resources which are more sustainable in use. Now coming to the economic dimension, I mentioned about 165,000 tons of fish can be produced from culture-based fisheries. Imagining that this will be produced from aquaculture. In India, we spend about 400,000 Indian rupees for creating 1 hectare of aquaculture pond, and that produces about 4 tons of fish. So that way, if you want to produce 165,000 tons of fish from aquaculture, we will be investing about 1,650 crore, a whooping amount, translated to US dollar, it will be 228 million US dollars. Similarly, there is an equity dimension here. Aquaculture is an enterprise. The return on investment is accrued to an individual or a small group of individuals, whereas in culture-based fisheries, provided they are using a community platform, an ideal platform, then we will get a benefits, and these benefits are equally shared by more people. That's more inclusive than aquaculture. Here, everyone gets a slice, although it's small. So there are different challenges that we face here. The number one challenge is the concept is not very clear among the stockholders at different levels. In India, still this enhancement and culture-based fisheries, all these are talked only among technical and scientific discussions. And down the line, in the fisheries managers, state fisheries, government officers, these are not there at all. So they just record it as capture fishery, or simply they stock their reservoirs, and the stocking is important. They don't know what for they are stocking, whether it is for culture-based fisheries or stock enhancement. Simply as a ritual, for the last 50 years, we have been stocking. Then there is no poor documentation and reporting. There is no reporting whatsoever on culture-based fisheries. Then again, the fish production statistics from inland water bodies is very inaccurate all over the world because of several reasons. Number one is the diffused marketing system, and there is no definite landing points. Fish goes everywhere. So this is the one reason why the statistics is not maintained. Then varying jurisdiction in India, it's a state subject, and in different states there are different kinds of ownership patterns available. Sometimes it is with the forest department, sometimes it is power generation department, sometimes it is with the irrigation and so on. So they have follow their own practices, and they do not know how to use the reservoir on a scientific basis. And then a very complex and varying tenure systems, because sometimes it is outright auctioning and only the fishers get only wages. Sometimes it is free fishing with sometimes it is government department is giving license to fishers and so on. Some very few cases cooperative societies are there, community owning the resource, community becoming responsible, and they are empowered to manage the resource. So the basic question is a community organization. We don't have the proper. There are namesake cooperative societies, but these are all run by individuals, and finally the community do not own or organize the operation. So putting in place a co-management platform where the actual stakeholders and the government take part in the management process. Now coming to the last part of my talk, I want to talk how these CBF or culture-based fisheries can contribute to the national production scenario. So you must be aware that the last 5 years in India, we have a very big thrust for fisheries development. A dedicated Department of Fisheries has been created in India under the newly formed Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry, and earlier it was all state managing, and from central government there was no policy direction. So the first attempt was in 2016. A Blue Revolution project was launched, spending about 300 crore Indian rupees, about 450 million US dollars. The aim was to double the farmers and fishers' income and achieving a target production of 15 million tons by 2022, which was launched in 16. But then this 15,000 million tons almost we have achieved it. I'm not sure whether doubling farmers' income and fishers' income took place or not. But then Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampad Yojana, this is the largest fishery project the country has ever witnessed. It launched in 2020, and for up to 2024, it will be working at an outlay of whooping 200 billion Indian rupees, that is amounting 2.76 billion US dollars. So let us examine how the CBF can play a role in meeting all these requirements. So for looking at the production of how we fared through the last few decades, we should look at the performance. Here you can see in the 50s, when we started our plant development, less than 1 million hectare was 1 million tons of fish were produced. Now, by reaching 15 million tons now, you can see one change here. Those days, in the beginning, we have 70% of them were marine fish, and only less than 30% contributed to inland. As we reached the 15 million mark, now more than 72% is the inland fishery. So this very clearly shows inland fisheries, because mariculture has not yet taken off in India. So this inland sector has to contribute maximum if you are to reach further. Now, if you look at the target set for 2020-24, we have to produce 20 million tons. So for 20 million tons, we have to switch gear from the 7% growth rate to 10% growth rate. So this is the challenge before us, and naturally the inland sector, aquaculture will take it is growing very fast. But then aquaculture, as I mentioned earlier, we should be using all non-aquaculture platforms, because aquaculture has its own environmental concerns. Now, the demand for fish in India was estimated somewhere in 2000 by Parado and Kumar, and in 2000 they have predicted a demand of 12.8 million tons. And Blue Revolution project, while it was launched in 2016, they met target of 15 million tons. That we achieved that. That means that was realistic, because after the prediction in 2000, the 12.8 million ton, a lot of things have changed. The demand change, and the supply also scenario change, aquaculture development, and so on. So this 15 we achieved. Now we are ready to take the jump to make it 20 million tons by 2020-23. Now look at as I mentioned earlier, we don't have separate catch statistics for culture-based fisheries. We capture fisheries plus enhancement in inland sector. We calculate very recently only we started even freshwater aquaculture separate statistics. So anyway, we were producing about 4 million tons of freshwater aquaculture and capture fisheries and enhancement together. In fact, CBF is embedded in this. So 0.8 million we have increased by 2019. We increased to 0.9. And today we are getting about 1 million tons from the inland capture fisheries plus culture-based fisheries and enhancement. Now, if you look at the inland scenario, you know very well that capture fisheries from the rivers is dwindling, and we cannot expect any substantial increase from that resource, from capture fisheries. So whatever increase we expect from inland fisheries sector is either freshwater aquaculture or the enhancement. So freshwater aquaculture, we have to make at least 10 million tons to meet the 20, and we have to meet about 2.7 million tons from the 1.7 million extra we will have to raise to touch this target. And culture-based fisheries and other stock-based, stock-enhanced fisheries in open water will be playing a very important role here. I conclude here by saying that CBF can contribute to meet the Blue Revolution and PMMSY targets by adding a substantial quantity of fish that too produced on a sustainable and equitable manner without making any extra demand for water and land. Because this, as I mentioned earlier, we have to exhaust all possibilities for, because in aquaculture, high intensive aquaculture, even though it had a lot of tonnage to the fish, but it has problems with the environment. And also equity issues are involved because a lot of natural water bodies, the traditional access of the communities. So this is an excellent forum for the community to participate in the production process. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. And thank you, NACA, and thank you all my co-participants. Thank you very much.